can help support the channel by heading to our merchandise store and picking up some of our great aircraft designs created by our graphic designer. We'll have everything from fighters to transport aircraft, which you can choose to have printed on t-shirts, mugs, stickers and much, much more. Head to the description below and click the links and pick up your design today. Thank you and enjoy. Did you ever fly the Tornado on live operations or been, involved with the Tornado on any live ops?
I myself never, but I was the so-called master air attack planner. So I was in the war of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Kosovo. It was at the end of the century, 1998, 1999. We had the conflicts with Yugoslavia. And this is really impressive because, the headquarters was in Vicenza. And from there on, everything was targeted. You must know that at that time, a COM-AO, I did the ATO, so the air tasking order, and it was more than 200 aircrafts which were tasked every day. So what you do is, as a master attack planner, you select the targets, you select the quadrants, you do all the, let's say, the tasking to all the different nations in this air tasking order. And this is really impressive. This is unbelievable. And I had the chance to go on an aircraft carrier, and it was in operation just to see, because I had to task an aircraft carrier for 3 weeks. And if you have to task within your, let's say, time when you are a master air attack planner, which is always about 100 to 110 in a row, you have not a free day, not a single free day.
Wow.
But if you have to task an aircraft carrier, you have to go to it because you get a really deep briefing, because they operate different. They have special situations. For example, they launch the aircraft so fast that you cannot do the same separation if, for example, a task is squadron from France and from UK and from Germany. It's very easy. You just say, okay, you have 10 minutes loitering times there. For the aircrafts on a carrier, they really need up to the minute when they have to go and when they have to come back, because, of course, this is the landing place may not be at the same position at the time.
But this is going to be, hopefully you have a few for us, but maybe you can share a few memorable stories from your time flying the Tornado.
Yes, you have good times and you have experienced times, let it say this. Actually, we flew at night, we flew at day, we had day and night refueling. I refueled on nearly every tanker, like even the Victor, the Hercules, which is very slow, KC-135, KC-10. At that time, there were a lot of things, and it's to be very honest, at night, it's not so easy, because the illumination, we didn't have LEDs, they have lamps, so you had to look whether you find the tanker with the radar, but of course at a certain time you were not allowed to use the radar as well, and to challenge the closing speed is at night very difficult. A day is already not so easy. You're only allowed to have a, let's say, it's a final approach only 2 to 3 knots before you're at the basket, and 2 to 3 knots flying at 250 is nothing. So this is really great. And then I had some others. The NATO doctrine changed in the 90s, and I was lucky. I was on the base in Memmingen, which were the first assigned base for the reaction forces. So we had to react depending on the situation, not only in Germany, but all over the world. Of course, I never went to Afghanistan or so, but at the time, later on, we had this Yugoslavia. So, and with this becoming this reaction force, we got a lot of additional trainings. So, for example, I was lucky. I shoot myself, not me, of course, and the pilot, but within the airplane, live AIM-9 Limas. You go with 2 aircraft, one have a dummy You have a dummy and an original one. The dummy is the target. You shoot the target, and the other one going with the aimline lever to shoot with the aimline lever on the dummy, and then vice versa. This was great. And I dropped real bombs. Mark 82s in Baumholder is, if you see the waste you're doing there is unbelievable. It was 5 Mark 82s, which are each 250 kilograms. And the debris was, wow. So,
wow, yeah.
Yeah. And to be very honest, on the bad side, let's say I was always lucky. Yeah? I never had an accident, maybe only very few incidents. But maybe this to tell this how good the airplane is. I got a very young pilot. I was in the beginning of the 90s. And at that time, the German did a little bit, the things that we flew a lot with 2 tanks. It's so very heavy, let's say it like this. And at the beginning, you have to be really carefully because the AOA limits, they are not so high. It depends. Especially if you do cross controls. Cross controls mean if you use the rudder together with maneuvering. And as it was, the young pilot saw an F4 and reacted, and we slipped directly. And he was even close to eject because we got in a stall. Not a flat stall, a normal stall. But the procedure on the Tornado is very, very easy because you just control, centerize, and hold, just throttles idle, wings forward. And this is the funny part because of the fact that the center of gravity and the center of lift on the Tornado is so close, the aircraft recovers directly by itself. It was unbelievable. Even I think it was at 7,000 or 8,000 feet, and very, very fast. The airplane was stable, and we could fly again. So on the one hand, it was, let's say, a kind of incident. On the other hand, it was very good that the pilot followed. That they said, "Don't touch anything." And as I said, actually, I know very, very few, let's say, accidents where not the crew was, let's say, responsible for the accident. Actually, the Tornado was really safe aircraft.
But the Germans didn't have automatic wind sweep, did they? They were the same as the Brits. It was all manual.
We were manual. Yeah, but actually, this is a philosophy. No? I can tell you one thing which is good for manual, because when the Tornado had the best fuel flow at 33 degrees with 5.5 AOA, we had less consumption. For long distances helps. We find it out. So actually, at the beginning, they told us, the flight envelope was only tested for 25, 45, and 67, unless you have an automatic wing sweep. But actually, the aircraft is, of course, flying in between. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some questions, but I want to wrap up this Tornado, but I've got a few questions from viewers. They're more random questions, but overall, Rudy, did you enjoy your time as a WSO or nav on the Tornado?
Yes. I would do the same thing again.
You wouldn't change a thing?
Actually, no, because, I have 2,000 hours. I have really no accident. I had one hydraulic failure where I have to land precautionally in the approach end. This was it. I have no engine failure all the time. I always had 2 engines. I had no hydraulic or other thing. So no, for me it was really perfect. So what should I change?
Brilliant stuff. So to move on to
maybe I was lucky.
Level. Yeah, maybe. All really good. But what else did you do in the German Air Force outside the flying that you're quite proud of, and something maybe it's not as seen as fun as flying?
Yeah, as I said, I was the electronic warfare staff officer of the squadron, and there you do, let's say, for exercises in NATO exercises. For example, when we were we had the so-called techie well. The techie well was always when the NATO, let's say, challenge you whether you are still capable to do your role. So Americans, British people come and they evaluate. And at that time, I was not flying so much. So I prepared, for example, the electronic order of battle. I make the trainings for the crews, when to use which program on the repeater jammer and the chaff, etc. So this was my side job within the squadron. And it's really tasking. You have to learn many things about the air order of battle, because you draw it on the map where the threatening things, etc. Of course, it was just not real with this techie well, but of course it was played, and then you got inputs from all the evaluating staff, and then you have to react. And but this was quite nice as well. On the other hand, I got some let's say courses in Oberammergau, which is very nice. The US, they had the electronic warfare school, so you get trainings there, which is. Besides that, this is you only have one side job in Germany. So I was the electronic warfare officer. Others, and they are enough. They have to deal with all the planning stations. Others have this and this. But I started very early, become this, and I did it for all the years I was in the Air Force.
So here come the random ones that I got from some viewers. Fastest you've been in the Tornado?
Actually, yes. I think today I can tell you, it was in the very, very beginning when we went to Goose Bay, which is a preparation for a red flag and maple flag. You fly very low, and we went there when it was really cold, and when it's really cold and dry, many people do not know the Tornado goes even supersonic in dry. So actually, we flew beyond Mach. We didn't know it only when we came back, because the refueling tanks on the wings were, let's say, a little bit deplaced. They went on the tips together. So the technician says, "What have you done with the tanks? Did you hit something?" We didn't saw it. We went away from the aircraft, and of course, in our investigations, and we went just shortly behind 1 point something. And actually, we flew in Goose Bay 540, 570 knots. This is not. It depends. 540 knots. From all the interviews, it depends at what altitude you fly it. Then you have a different. Yeah. But this was the fastest. Of course, I flew 1.2 at the triple TE. When you have the supersonic training flight just to see what is happening. But the fastest one, we flew beyond Mach 1 in low level, in 200 feet. But we didn't realize. We didn't realize that it happened.
No buffering.
No. Actually, we didn't have any buffering. Okay, it was very close. Maybe it was actually only 0.99. I do not know how precise the instruments they are, but the tanks were only limited to 0.92, and that's why we, let's say, the tanks were not deformed. Only they were not anymore in straight line with the aircraft.
Yeah. Another one. What did the old Phantom and F-104 guys think of the new Tornado?
Let's say at the beginning, to be very honest, the F-104, it's a very beautiful aircraft, they think. And of course, many people didn't want it. And of course, this aircraft is unbelievably fast. I had 2 flights in a TF, in a trainer, in the back seat. But actually, of course, you can fly fast. I went with this aircraft 1.7 or something like this, but high level. And you do not, for me, high level 1.7, it's like flying in a Concorde. You do not feel that you fly so fast.
Yeah.
You only know because somebody is telling you the letter. And yes, and actually, I think this was at the beginning a little bit a problem because, you know, they were only flying single seat. They never had enough. So we had to do some, let's say, yeah, it's like with people who come together, which have to do the same things. At the beginning, they do not know. So it took a while. The F4 guys, you know, the F4, it's a totally different aircraft. I think you can, it can hit, I do not know, 20 shots and it will still fly.
Yeah.
So, of course, they had a different opinion. We had quite a lot of people who came later on from the F4 to the Tornado because, you know, the F4 was put out of service. And you cannot compare because technically it was a jump. It was a different airplane. And the F4, you know, we used it not so much in air to ground. It was more a fighter and reconnaissance in the German Air Force. And the F-104, I think it was, yeah, the airplane was designed for shooting high-flying bombers coming over the border, but the German tried to make a fighter bomber out of it, and it was very bad. You know, we lost 269 airplanes, and it was not designed for this. But this is my personal opinion.
And the last random question from one of our viewers, what do you think of the Typhoon in the German Air Force?
Oh, totally different airplane. It was developed still for the, let's say, for the war, when we still have, let's say, the Warsaw Pact and the NATO. It's a very good airplane. It has an unbelievable flight control system.
Yes.
It's amazing. Of course, it's a little bit unstable. And it's, I think, a very good fighter. No questions about it. Whether we can fully use it for fighter bomber, it's the same. If you develop something for a special role and redevelop it, you will have your constraints. But I think at the end, with the, let's say, with the bombs and everything what you put on now below it, which is guided by themselves, etc., I think it will work. No, it's a very good airplane, no? But it's a totally different design. No? It's you know, it's partially unstable by itself. So, and very high in demands. I think if you come with other airplanes in a dogfight, winning against Typhoon would be difficult.
Yes, definitely, that's true. But a couple of personal ones to wrap up here, Rudy. Do you have any hobbies?
Actually, many people, even if I was in NAF or WSO, I had, because now at my age I stopped it, I had a pilot license. I had the PPL. Later on, I did a CPL IFR because I wanted to intend to to fly airliners also. But this is not my life. But I kept in PPL, and I was very lucky because I was due to my let's say my other life, which was as an aerospace engineer, where I lived 10 years in France. I flew a very nice British airplane. Quite often it was so-called Tiger Moss. I think you remember it. It was a training aircraft from the British, and it's an unbelievable airplane. It's totally different. You know, the compass is from a ship. You cannot use it. It's if you try to use it, it doesn't make sense. You look out where to fly. It has no magnets. It has no. You have to start the propeller by yourself, by a second guy. It has no brakes. But it's really funny to fly, you know. It's really nice. And I luckily, because I was there, I had some others, so I flew a T6 and I flew a Yak 52, all myself.
Oh,
which was just because I had the PPL, and I just was lucky because to meet the right people in the places. The Yak and the T6 I flew only 2 times, but the Tiger Moss, I think, 20 or 30 hours. Maybe on the hobbies to continue, I'm a sporty guy. I like hiking, I like bicycle driving, and I have one hobby, you know, I listen to vinyl. You know, these old black things which you put on a player, which is now coming again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
One you would like to fly either past or present, so it can be anything. I've had some really strange ones and some really obvious, but what would yours be? And it can be military, whatever.
Yeah, I still have one dream. I want to fly a World War II warbird. So a Spitfire, a P-50, not myself, just in it, P-50, a Messerschmitt 109 or Focke-Wulf 190. This is still on my bucket list, and just it's in the back seat. I know you will never fly it alone because you need too much training. Nobody would fly you, let you fly this. These aircrafts are millions of euros
Yes.
worth. So no. But I tried already. Unfortunately, and we had a place in the northern Germany, but the boss of this died 2 years ago or last year, and it's not so easy to apply for it. You need to find it. Maybe I have to come to the UK because there it's much more easier, I heard. In Germany,
there's lots of Spitfire flights here. Yeah, you can do.
Yeah, and the Spitfire would be fine as well. So actually, I do not care, but this is one on my bucket list.
Really. So can we find you online, or do you have any books in the work or anything like that? Do you put up your photos anywhere?
No, actually, I only, because of my second life as an aerospace engineer, I'm more in this, let's say, business things like LinkedIn and Xing and so on. And I have no Facebook account or so where I share. Unfortunately, not. So, yes. Sorry,
but I'll post your pictures for you because they were great, by the way, and you would have seen them in this interview. But I also want to thank Aviastorm for helping set us up this interview. They're currently working on a Tornado for the flight simulator and DCS. You can stay up to date with them and their progress on their Facebook page, which will be linked in the description. But Rudy, thanks very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Really good chat. And yeah, it's been fascinating.
Yeah, for me it was fun as well to talk to you and to got such nice questions. And yes, you bring me back in the past, which was quite good for me.